At our wedding, Toby Webb, the impoverished student my fiancée, Elvira Britton, has been sponsoring, barges into the venue while wailing at the top of his lungs. Elvira, a wasp has stung me down there. Does this mean I won't be able to? Elvira doesn't hesitate to ditch all the guests and me in favor of whisking Toby away. I quickly grab her wrist and suggest to her that we should finish the ceremony first before finding a doctor to save Toby. But she reacts by shoving me to the floor instead with an enraged look on her face. Wallace Cochran, if you truly loved me, you wouldn't stop me at this time. After that, she quickly takes Toby to the lounge in the wedding venue. By the time I arrive at the lounge, I witness Elvira straddling Toby. The very same woman who had once promised me that she'd preserve her virginity for our wedding night can be seen glaring at me angrily. Toby's condition is very severe, you know. How am I supposed to sit by and watch him suffer? It's just virginity, isn't it? Since you want it that badly, I can just get myself prepared and let you try again, can't I? Chapter 1. The microphone on Elvira's wedding dress hadn't been removed. Moans rose and fell from the wedding venue's speakers. The guests turned to look at me, some smirking, some sympathetic. My fingers clenched the wine glass so tightly my knuckles went white. I drained the glass of bitter wine along with all my pent-up humiliation, my throat constricting with the effort. An hour later, Elvira finally walked out of the lounge. Her face was flushed with an unusual redness, and the wedding dress worth $10 million was now stained with specks of blood. The crowd began to jeer. Miss Britton, congrats on losing your virginity. So, how was Toby? The moment the words left their mouths, my already married younger sister, Whitney Cochran, swept into the wedding venue, one hand cradling her pregnant belly. She swept her gaze around the room and sneered. You people sure know how to sing someone's praises. Why don't you be really generous and offer up your own wives for others to sleep with? After a final scathing look, Whitney turned to me and urged, Wallace, our family has a long and prestigious legacy, and never has a bride who wasn't chaste entered our home. Since Miss Britton has lost her virginity, we can't very well break the rule laid down by our ancestors. The wedding is hereby called off. Let's go home. As we walked along, whispers buzzed on both sides. What does it matter if Wallace is the richest man? He still got played for a fool by a woman. Elvira sure has some nerve to humiliate Mr. Cochran in front of so many people. Their marriage alliance might just be over. For a moment, I was lost in a daze. Back then, my grandfather, Gerald Cochran, had arranged the union between our families to repay Elvira's grandfather, Dustin Britton, for saving his life. After Grandpa passed away, my father, Craig Cochran, repeatedly tried to call off the engagement. His hope was to find me a more suitable match from a prestigious family. However, I was so dead set on marrying Elvira that I even threatened to kill myself if I couldn't. The Britton family rode my family's coattails all the way to the top. Elvira, with red-rimmed eyes from crying, promised that she'd save the most precious gift of her virginity for our wedding night. Yet, she completely forgot her own words, all for the sake of an impoverished student she'd been sponsoring for 3 years. Wallace, I snapped back to reality, pausing mid-step as I was about to get into the car. Elvira pinched the bridge of her nose, her expression one of utter impatience. So, what if I lost my virginity? I promised I'd make it up to you for the rest of our lives after we're married. The rest of our lives? The vows that once seemed so touching now felt utterly absurd in hindsight. Seeing me stay silent, Elvira shot me a smug glance, then lifted her chin and commanded, Wallace, go buy some condoms. Once Toby's done with his medication, I want to do him again to see if he's fully recovered. A chill ran through my entire body. I couldn't believe those words had just come out of Elvira's mouth. The very next second, Toby came running over from the lounge, his clothes disheveled. He grabbed Elvira's hand and said pitifully, Elvira, I feel so terrible. In an instant, Elvira lost all patience with me. She drowned in displeasure and said, Wallace, if you don't buy the condoms, then we might as well just forget about this wedding. However, I couldn't even be bothered to spare Elvira another glance. No sooner had I gotten into the car than Whitney, teeth grinding with rage, slammed her phone down. The matter between Elvira and me had already become the talk of the town, with news reports everywhere. Even the richest man can't buy love. Shock events on wedding day. North Bank's wedding of the century ruined as bride forgets Mike. Intimate chat with lover broadcast live. As I read the news, my heart sank bit by bit. Back when Elvira and I were dating, I never once turned down anything she asked of me. I figured that since she wanted to save her most precious virginity for our wedding night, why should I ever say no to her? But I never imagined that my indulgence and concessions would lead to her sleeping with Toby on our wedding day. She couldn't care less about the media firestorm I'd be caught in. Chapter 2. The wedding scandal topped the trending searches that very day, and my family immediately moved to shut down coverage across all major media outlets. When they saw how furious my family was, Elvira's parents rushed over in a panic. Wallace, please calm down. Elvira has already admitted her mistake to us. Don't worry, she definitely knows she was wrong. How about we just pick another date to get the wedding done? I let out an exasperated laugh at Elvira's father, Benny Britton's words. Pick another date for the wedding? Whose? Elvira and Toby's. The sarcasm in my words was self-evident. Mr. Britton's expression darkened, then quickly shifted into a fawning smile as he said ingratiatingly, Wallace, once you and Elvira are married, I'll hand Britton Group over to you. I looked down at him with a cold smirk, tossing a stack of acquisition contracts in front of him. Britton Group? That pathetic company isn't even worth my time. Mr. Britton, accustomed to being flattered, had never endured such humiliation before. Seeing that he was about to speak again, Whitney stepped forward grimly. Mr. Britton, a woman who cheats before marriage cannot marry into this family. I advise you to think carefully before you speak again. The faces of Mr. Mr. and Mrs. Britton's immediately went pale, then red. Shock, embarrassment, and anger all flickered across their features all at once. Not wanting to drag this out any longer, I said, for the sake of the friendship between my grandpa and Mr. Britton Sr., have Elvira come to the courthouse tomorrow to finalize the divorce with me. With that, I had someone escort my former in-laws, who still wanted to keep pleading, out the door. At the same time, I had their gifts thrown out as well. The next day, I canceled all my appointments and waited at the courthouse from morning until night. As I watched the newlyweds coming and going at the marriage registration office, it was hard to describe what I was feeling. I still remembered the night before we got our marriage license, how Elvira was so excited she couldn't sleep. We ended up waiting outside the city hall since midnight and became the first couple to register our marriage that day. Elvira couldn't wait to show off to the whole world. Even now, I still couldn't forget the radiant smile on her face. But the image of Elvira shielding Toby kept forcing its way into my mind, making me feel like the biggest fool. My phone rang sharply, jerking me back to reality. The second I hit accept on the video call, I was met with the sight of Toby on top of Elvira, pounding into her. Toby said in a voice thick with lust, "Elvira, we're doing Wallace dirty here. If you two actually end up divorcing because of me." Elvira cut him off with a breathy moan. "Relax. Wallace is just trying to scare me. He loves me too much to ever really divorce me." The obscene scene drained every ounce of strength from my body and made my stomach churn violently. Toby deliberately angled the camera to show off our wedding suite, his eyes gleaming with undisguised provocation. My knuckles turned white as I gripped the phone. I had personally arranged every corner of that suite to give Elvira the perfect first night, only to have it serve as their playground instead. I swallowed the surge of emotions and let out a cold laugh. "Elvira, looks like you're busy. Yet, you still had time to invite me to watch." The moment she heard my voice, Elvira panicked. After quickly pushing Toby off her, she grabbed the phone and glared at me. "Wallace, what is wrong with you? Why are you calling me out of nowhere?" I laughed in exasperation. "Elvira, I have no interest in watching your little live performance. Your precious Toby was the one who called me." Chapter 3. A flicker of doubt crossed Elvira's face as she looked at Toby. Seeing Toby lower his head with a hurt expression, Elvira turned back to me and snapped, "That's enough, Wallace. How dare you threaten my parents with divorce? Toby was just trying to help me get back at you. Besides, I have every right to do what I want with my body before marriage. My virginity is mine to give whoever I choose." I cut her off calmly. "You're right, your body, your choice. You can give your virginity to anyone you want. I cannot and should not have any complaints. Similarly, I have the right to think whatever I want. I can divorce whoever I choose, and you're not allowed to have any complaints about that either." Elvira froze, her face instantly turning pale. But she quickly rolled her eyes and snorted coldly. "Wallace, our engagement was arranged by both our grandfathers. Don't you forget that it's only because I married you that you got to be the richest heir." Seeing that I remained silent, she softened her tone and coaxed gently, "As long as you stop going after Toby, I'll